Do you know what this is? Well, we'll have the answer for you as we pay our weekly visit to Jacob Pyle's Antique Electronics Store. And here's your host and store owner of Jacob Pyle's Antique Electronics Store, Jacob Pyle.
Thank you very much, and welcome to my Antique Electronics Store. My name is Jacob Pyle. Glad to have you with us. Each week inside Jacob Pyle's Antique Electronics Store, I'm going to be reintroducing you to some of the most fascinating and retro tech that you can find anywhere. And I have a really cool showcase for you guys today. Let me begin with this scenario. You heard the weather report say that school's closed for the day, and you have to use that as an e-learning day. I'm sure most of you guys, especially you parents out there watching, groan when you even hear the words e-learning. And last year with the pandemic, I'm sure you guys had to use e-learning to get your kids through school. Well, when I was in school, there was no such thing as e-learning. Any days that the schools closed would either be used on some holidays as a weather makeup day, or it would be, or it would use up the summer vacation days at the end of the year. Well, back in my day, a day that school was closed meant an extra day to get your homework assignments finished. And here's another scenario. What if you were sick and you couldn't make it to school? Well, that day can be used as an e-learning day too. But back in my day, any days we call in sick, we would have to make up for the homework we missed that day. And speaking of school, I'm sure you guys remember the days when your second grade teachers would let you use educational toys during your free time in class. Well, we have two such toys in our Antique Electronics Store today. The first one we will be featuring is the VTech PreComputer Navigator, which we'll devote the majority of our time to this week. And another toy known as the MathSafari, which I'll get to a little later on. But to shift our focus back on the VTech laptop, it's a really cool toy with so many features to where we will be able to really discuss in detail about each feature. And they've made, and by the way, they have made like several, as you'll see later on the show, the VTech laptop was so popular that they made several additional laptops to go along with it. It's kind of like, I guess you can say it's kind of like a sequel to the original laptop. And don't get any ideas either, because the laptops I'm going to be introducing you today is not a toy. The laptop I'm going to be introducing you today is not a computer. It's actually a toy with some educational things on there, and I think you might enjoy it. So, with all that being said, we will get started with our look at the VTech PreComputer Navigator after these messages. Alright, welcome back. Before I get into these educational toys, I would quickly like to issue this disclaimer. I am not a commercial spokesperson. I do not endorse any of these electronics you see on the show. And also, I am discovering these toys for the first time as of the date this program was recorded. These have not been touched or played by me prior to this. Now, when Video Technology Limited, otherwise known as VTech, got its start, its primary focus was on video games. In fact, it manufactured the very first ever home TV game console version of Pong. A year later, most of your older viewers may remember Radio Shack, which was the major technology store before there was even such a thing as Best Buy. So in 1978, VTech manufactured several LED games sold under the Radio Shack brand. And then in the early 1980s, VTech expanded to include all kinds of electronic games, which is where this VTech laptop comes in to play. First of all, let me make a brief confession. This is not really a computer, although it says that right here. It's more of an educational toy. So if you are ready, let's dig in deeper to the VTech. So you are looking at the VTech PreComputer Navigator. We'll start with the outside of the machine. On top you got the VTech logo and the name of the computer. On both sides there are latches that will allow you to open the computer, which we will get into all that later. We also have on this side an AC adapter plug as well as a headphone jack. On the other side, we also have this cartridge slot, which can be used to add additional things to the computer. On this side, you have your plug for a mouse, which was optional, and a plug for your printer. On the bottom of the toy, we have two battery compartments. One is the main battery compartment that holds 4 C batteries. And then we also have a compartment over here for backup batteries, which takes 2 AA's. Now, if you open up the laptop, you will find different buttons corresponding to each of the 6 built-in game categories that the computer has to offer, as well as the on and off buttons, a demo button, and a cartridge button. Then, of course, you have your standard, what I like to call QWERTY keyboard. Plus, over here we have a navigational button and 2 mouse buttons. And over here, too, we have a display screen, which is where all the magic is going to come in. When we come back, we will turn the laptop on and look at some of these fascinating built-in laptop games that it comes with. But first, here's our trivia question of the week. In 2020, which one of these toys was named Best Electronic Toy of All Time according to thespruce.com? Was it the Amazon Fire HD8 Kids Edition, the Google RC Mini RC Quadcopter, or the Wonder Workshop Dash Coding Robot? We will have that answer for you when we return. Welcome back. In case you missed it, here's the question that we asked before the break. In 2020, which one of these toys was named Best Electronic Toy of All Time according to thespruce.com? Was it the Amazon Fire HD8 Kids Edition, the Google RC Mini RC Quadcopter, or the Wonder Workshop Dash Coding Robot? The answer was the Wonder Workshop Dash Coding Robot. Now, according to thespruce.com, each one of these toys was on the list. The other two go into different categories. The Amazon Fire HD8 Kids Edition was named Best Tablet of the Year, while the Google RC Mini RC Quadcopter was named Best Drone of the Year. Alright, back to our look at the VTech PreComputer Navigator. We're going to turn this puppy on and we will take a detailed look into the system itself. Now, as was mentioned earlier in the show, this is not an actual computer. I repeat, not an actual computer. But with the different kinds of features that this computer has, it's well worthy to be noted as a toy computer. Now, the one thing I noticed right off when I turned the computer on is that obviously the display is in color, but you can tell that the color represented on this was done very inexpensively. But enough about that, let's get into the games. So we'll begin with word games. Each category, I should point out, has 10 different games in each one, so we'll start off with synonyms. In synonyms, basically you have to guess which word means the same as the word displayed within a time limit. And by the way, I should point out that in each game, you have up to 3 chances, which means you're allowed to make up to 2 mistakes per word. Also, if you get stuck on a word, you can always press the help button in the keyboard. But for each time you ask the computer to reveal a letter in the word, it will cost you 1 chance. So basically, if you either run out of time on a word or use up all 3 chances, the word is revealed and we move on to the next word. You can also select which level you want to play on any one game, or if you want to play the game in 1-player or 2-player mode. Next game is antonyms, which, like synonyms, you have to guess the word that is opposite in meaning as compared to the word in display. In spelling, the computer will give you a word and a moving picture, and you have to spell the word correctly. In word correction, an extra letter will appear in a display and the computer will read you the word. All you have to do is figure out which letter does not appear in the word and spell the word correctly. In tenses, for example, a present tense and past tense will appear, and you have to put in the past participle tense. Sometimes it will also ask you to put in a past tense or present tense. In part of speech, a sentence will appear with a highlighted word. Then a series of choices will appear on screen. All I have to do is pick out what part of speech it is. If you use help, it will remove one of the choices for you. In grammar, a sentence with a blank appears with 3 choices. All you have to do is decide which tense of the word is correct. In sentence shuffle, a sentence will appear and the computer will give you a few seconds to memorize the sentence. The sentence will then appear scrambled and you have to rearrange the sentence as it originally appeared. Then you also have word search with 10 words hidden in each puzzle. If you press the help button, a word list will appear for a few seconds and then go back to the puzzle. And of course you got crossword where a clue will appear as well as the number of letters in the word. In mathematics, most of this is general stuff. You have addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, where basically all you have to do is put in the correct answer to each math problem. These are one of the only games that will not let you use help. In algebra, a missing number is represented by a letter, and all you have to do is figure out what the missing letter represents in each category. In fractions, a fraction puzzle will appear. All you have to do is put in the correct answer. In coordinates, a dot will appear in the graph, and all you have to do is figure out the coordinate. If you use the help function, the number that is represented will be replaced by y and x. In geometry, you have to figure out the unknown in each object. If you use help, an algebra problem will appear in place of the perimeter. In story problems, as before, it will give you a math problem and 3 possible choices. You have to pick which one best fits each clue. In graphs, a graph will appear, and then a question will appear concerning the graph, and you have to pick which answer best answers the question. In Trivia Challenge, you have 5 categories based on science, myth, music, animal, and sports. In each one, a question will appear, followed by 3 possible choices, and you have to guess which one is correct. So basically, we dug into 3 of these categories for you. When we come back, we get into some fun features and games that the computer has built in. We'll be back. Welcome back. Now this computer has up to 5 categories. We've shown you 3 of these categories to all of you before the break. Now we have 2 more categories we'd like to show you. Activity Corner and Computer Skills. So basically in Activity Corner we start with Music Maker. Basically you create your own song and the computer will play it back for you. In Melody Master there's 5 CDs which will allow you to play the music and it will give you some interesting tidbits about each one. In Fences, you have to build a bridge that will safely get you to the opposite side. The reason why it's called Fences is that you and the computer work together to get to the opposite opponent's side. And you have to work around whatever bridges the computer builds, hence the name Fences. The winner is the person that gets to the opposite side's finish first. In Shape Puzzle, which is technically called anagrams, using the shapes provided, you have to fill in the object within a 5-minute time limit. In 3D Match, the computer will give you 3 choices from 3 cubic blocks. 2 of them are the same from different perspectives. 1 of them is different, and you have to choose which one is different. Treasure Hunt is basically like Minesweeper. You have to find all the treasures. Some of the blocks uncover a blank. Some of the blocks will uncover a grimly looking creature, which will cause you to lose a life. Some of them will uncover a heart, which will earn you an extra life. And the rest of them have the treasure. If you find all the treasures before you find all the grimly looking creatures, you win the game. Also, if you click on any one row, it will tell you how much treasure appears in each row, but it will cost you a life for each time you do that. In Balance, you have 1 minute and 15 seconds to put all the blocks on the tray and balance the scale. In Tic Tac Box, your goal is to create as many boxes as you can before the computer. Whoever has the most boxes claimed at the end of the game wins. And then we go over to Computer Skills, which includes things like a chart maker, which will allow you to input information and make a chart. Then you got my favorite game, the Typing Challenge, where a sentence will appear and you have to type as many words as you can before the 5-minute time limit runs out. Then, of course, you got a calendar, a date planner, a telephone book, a calculator, a spell checker where you can enter any word and you can see if you have it spelled right or not. And finally, a word processor. So that's basically all the features of the VTech PreComputer Navigator, and I hope you enjoy it. I hope you like our look at the VTech PreComputer Navigator. When we return, we will have our fascinating Tech of the Week. Don't go anywhere. We are back. Now I am super excited about this week's Tech of the Week, and I'll explain why. I remember when I was in second grade, I was going to Tri-Central Community Schools in Sharpsville, and my teacher's name was Mrs. Grimmy. Now Mrs. Grimmy had this cool looking thing in her classroom. At the beginning of the school day, she would randomly pick out 2 names from a bowl who will get a chance to play this thing every week. And I enjoyed playing it with it every time I got picked. This is MathSafari, and unfortunately I wish I could be able to demonstrate this to you today, but I cannot get this thing to work. But basically how this works is there's usually a it comes with a book with different puzzles and different questions and things like that. All you have to do is type in the page where it says enter code. There's usually like a code on the top left corner of the book. All you gotta do is punch in said code, and then all you have to do is answer the questions. It's as simple as that. There were several books that came in the series. Now, to look at the machine, this thing has the number buttons, or the number dials, I guess you can call it that. Now to look at the machine, this thing has the number buttons and display screen in front. In the back it has an AC adapter and a battery compartment which takes 4 of these size batteries. Man. And boy, as much as I wish I could be able to, from my experiences playing with this thing when I was young, it's really cool, it's really exciting, and hopefully sometime soon maybe I'll actually be able to demonstrate this on a future episode. So that's our look at pre-e-learning games for today. If you have a suggestion on what you would like to see on future episodes of the show, drop me an email. My email address is jtpyle1@aol.com. Next visit in Jacob Pyle's Antique Electronics Store, I have a special treat for all of you. We will be looking at one of the first ever... Next visit in Jacob Pyle's Antique Electronics Store, I have a special treat for all of you. We will be looking at one of the first ever gaming consoles I ever had, which was the Atari 2600. And we'll feature some really cool games that was made for the Atari. Plus, we will also feature my very first computer I ever had, going as far back as 1984. It's going to be a great visit to the Antique Electronics Store next week, and I hope you guys can join us then. Until then, I thank you for visiting Jacob Pyle's Antique Electronics Store. I'm Jacob Pyle. Our store is closed.